Whether it's a lager or an ale, whether it's a stout, light, dark, or pale. If you can brew it, Chad can review it. It's time for Chad's Beer Reviews. He's not quite an amateur, not quite a connoisseur, but regardless of the brewer, he's got taste in beer for sure.
You can tell just by his gut, this guy is a bona fide beer nut.
So whether it's a porter or an IPA, whether it's from Europe or the USA, if you can brew it, Chad can review it. It's time for Chad's Beer Reviews.
Hey, welcome to an episode of Chad's Beer Reviews. Hope you enjoyed the Real Ale Guide spoof I did in the last one. I'm not going to do that for the rest of this series. As you know, I got 6 beers from Adnams all the way in England. Thanks to Sean at Adnams for sending this to me, and thanks to Simon at Real Ale Guide for suggesting it. This is their Gunhill full flavored beer. Soul Bay Brewery, 4% in the volume. All their caps are pretty much the same. It says Adnams South Wold. Not World, Wold. One of my British viewers, correct me if I'm not pronouncing that right. Let's take a look at the back here. It says, a traditional dark ruby ale delivering full flavor at just 4% ABV. Full aromatic barley malts and exquisite blend of hops combine to create a wonderful balance of sweet biscuit and subtle fruit flavors with a hint of chocolate bitterness. That should be interesting. And it says Adnams Gunhill is proud to join the fight against prostate cancer by contributing a donation to the Prostate Cancer Society. And I still can't get enough of the bottom where it says the government guidelines of how many men and women should drink, and if you're pregnant, remember not to drink the beer. So, you know, I like an aggressive pour in my beers. You get like a creamier texture that way, like a lot of head in the beer. You know, that's a really nice color. Like they said, ruby red. I'd agree with that. It's kind of a reddish amber, so it's like slightly orange. Head's what, 2, almost 3 fingers there, over 3 fingers. It's kind of an eggshell color, much like these walls behind me. It smells like a traditional English beer. Like a lot of ESBs tend to smell this way. It's like that cereal malt, very cereal-y, like you want to put milk in this and have it for breakfast. So let's try the Gunhill here. Yeah, it's you know, typical British style. I mean, I know I'm not a Brit, so maybe I shouldn't be saying what's typical and what's not, but I've had a lot of their beers, so I can start to get a good idea of what the style tends to fall under. This reminds me similar, not quite as robust as a Wells Bombardier or the Fuller's ESB, but kind of in that that ballpark. That's an American term. I'm glad I got an aggressive pour on there. The head is nice and frothy. It's imparting like a nice creaminess to it. You know, they said slight fruit flavor on here. Sweet biscuit and subtle fruit flavors. Yeah, sure, I'll agree with that. I mean, it's not like a freaking lambic or anything. There's obviously no fruit added to this. Biscuity malt, yeah, I guess I agree with that. It's not as dry as a biscuity malt. It has a nice kind of cold, wet mouthfeel. I might actually be drinking this too cold. Maybe I should let this warm up a little bit. You know, it's fairly refreshing while it's in the mouth. It finishes extremely clean, like next to no aftertaste. Like a touch of that kind of cracker kind of aftertaste. So, you know, pretty typical English pub beer here. Speaking of English pub, I got a toasty on the grill there, which I just filmed myself getting it ready. So I'm not sure if they actually eat that, if it's a traditional English pub fare, because we eat that here in America at Mosher's. So let me go get that off the grill and we'll see how the beer goes with the pub fare. Alright guys, this is my sandwich before. It's 3 or 4 slices of turkey, slice of provolone cheese, and 3 or 4 slices of ham on this big bread here. This is how we make at Mosher's what we call a toasty. Got the George Foreman grill here, putting it on totally cold iron Just gonna put that right in the dead center middle there. And plug it in. And I'm gonna shoot the first half of the review while this thing's toasting. And we'll come back and see how the beer and the toasty go together. Alright, my toasty is done. It's kind of like a panini, but not as thick. Got some spicy brown mustard here. And just gonna pour it into this little saucer plate thing here. And you dip the sandwich in the mustard. I am back, finishing the Adnams Gunhill. As you can see, I already ate the first half of my sandwich and finished a lot more of this beer. Look at that lacing. That's great, especially you don't tend to get that in 4% beer. This is pairing quite well. You know, it's just a typical sandwich kind of pub fare. You know, not your high-end restaurant kind of thing. This beer and the toasty, they work very well together because it's just kind of a overall mild but tasty meal combination. Like you're not getting a ton of flavor out of the sandwich. I mean, it's not freaking prime rib or anything. And the same thing with the beer. I mean, this isn't, you know, an imperial stout or something like that. It's a British, you know, more sessionable ale. Very, very drinkable. It's got a nice soft mouthfeel. I get an aggressive pour on there, get a lot of the carbonation out. It's perfectly medium body, bordering on light body. For the beer itself, I'm going to give this a 7. You know, it's a good beer. Not blowing my mind. Nothing about it's turning me off. It's just a good sessionable beer. Something I would definitely love to have in an English pub. Especially as if I was sitting there for hours on end watching, you know, football or soccer, as we call it. Or rugby. But yeah, it's good. I like it. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for the Adnams Gunhill. As is for this episode of Chad's Beer Reviews. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.
Somebody brewed it, Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's Beer Reviews. Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.